excuse me. I feel like this technique says something about my imagination. In my mind, I have so many me's talking and they have different perspectives. This guy does music, this guy does film, this guy has morals, this guy, he likes to laze off. It's almost like an Ozzy and Drix kind of world in there. I was always a fan of doing things on my own, see what I could do on my own. That way I'd never get bored. In a way, I'm making that come true in photography and film by having all of these clones of myself. It's as if all the perspectives, endless perspectives in my head are now getting printed on Polaroid or showing up on YouTube. So what if I told you that we could take the same techniques that we applied to photographs and put them on videos? Well, that's a lofty claim. Obviously, with videos, there comes a lot of extra steps that need to be taken into consideration. Videos are made up of frames, and the human eye can see up to 60 frames a second. But most videos shoot up to 24 frames a second. What are frames? Frames, individual frames, are pretty much pictures. Each one is a picture. So theoretically, you could apply this very same technique to video. It would take a lot of time. It would be very time consuming, but it's possible. The process is called rotoscoping. You would have to animate wear masks for each frame to make it happen. Now, I'm going to show a number of different videos that I worked on where I tried to get better with this technique. And over time, I evolved and learned different things that I needed to take into consideration, that any other person would need to take into consideration if they wanted to do the technique in this way. I had this vlogging series. I used to vlog. A vlog is just a blog, but it's a video blog, so it's shortened to vlog. So I had a vlog, and I got to like 13 episodes or whatever. But in each vlog, I had a skit. And it would show up somewhere in the middle of the video. And in my third vlog, I had the skit for Logan the Laddie. It was a pretend game.
The graphics are pretty cheesy.
I had this eagle eye shot of me on the front yard, and I would just move around as if I was like some kind of player character. I had 4 windows and in the corners. And the guy in the top left, he's the player. And the other 3 are just online friends. They're friends online. They're online players. And they're watching him play this game. It's like some kind of Twitch feed or whatever.
Look on the porch. Look on the porch.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
It might be a
Good
trap.
idea.
Might be a trap. It's not a trap.
They're helping him out because he's stuck. He's having a hard time with this game. So they're saying, oh, you gotta do this. Or, hey, no, you gotta do this. It's this kind of game.
Yeah, that's great. I'm always for that.
It's alright, never mind.
It was the first time that I had to act with imaginary characters because they weren't really there. So I had to fill in a lot of conversational gaps. I coordinated the video with my brother Lee, and he had a sword. He had a katana. It's not real. He slices me at the end and I die. For the main character that we had in the eagle eye shot, we did have a script with timed events. My brother was using a stopwatch. It was the first time we started timing events for specific things to happen. Because we couldn't talk to each other verbally, we were acting, and he was just jumping on the bandwagon, I asked for help, and he didn't study for it, because I didn't give him really anything to study for. When I did the player character and all of his online friends, it was a real challenge, because I had to make up conversations that hadn't even happened yet, or the receiving end and whoever I was talking to, they weren't actually there yet, and I hadn't made the dialogue for them yet. I was just making placeholder comments. It's like Mad Libs. That it's true. The first guy, I was trying to make him kind of like a mindless kind of guy, almost kind of goofy.
I freaking hate this game.
He's gonna just jump in every now and again, and somebody has to respond to him eventually, because his part is really important. The second guy, the guy in the upper right corner, is actually one of the most important people, because he would bridge the important conversations that need to be happening with the main character, and also with establishing some other dialogue that will have to happen with other characters.
I hate these flip scenes they just put in there.
I know. Wasn't my decision. Kind of weird.
I mean, it's distractive.
Yeah. It's boss battles.
Oh, heck yeah, when you're facing a boss battle, it's distractive.
Third guy, who's the bottom left Logan, he's usually the guy who wraps up anything else that was missed. So if there is a missing, interaction that was supposed to happen in conversation between the first guy or the second guy, the third guy takes care of that.
Yes.
So by the third guy, it should all be wrapped up, for the most part. But there are 4 corners to a rectangle, and I obviously save room for weird dialogue at the end. So the last guy, the guy in the bottom right, he's just a troll, and he'll come on and watch and be like, yo!
Hey,
what
this
party
I
are
said
you?
right, yes.
There were also title sequences and cutscenes, and I made a custom film score, because I make music too. So all the background music, I made that and using my keyboard emulator and other instruments. Now obviously with a video like this, especially for the first time, there are going to be some cons. Some things that didn't work out so well. One problem was we used a camera mic, so obviously the audio was pretty bad. Another thing that I did, which was really stupid, and I can't believe I didn't think of it, but while I was filming the 4 players, I was monitoring myself using speakers. So the camera is not only picking up the dialogue that I'm saying at the per character, it's also catching the audio from the video of the other guys that I'm trying to like fill in the conversations for. So they're so stupid. I actually don't even think I had headphones at that time. That was bad. As this was the first time, I did have some off timing with the conversations because it was a lot of work. And it was hard to redo things and get it just right. So sometimes they don't line up exactly. Like one guy says something just a little bit too early so that the other guy didn't really finish his elaboration yet, and it just sounds kind of weird. Or maybe this guy was a little late, and it sounds kind of awkward having a little pause there. Or maybe there was a missing conversation after all. A lot of things to take into consideration, but I did eventually try a second Logan the Laddie video when I entered college. It's called Logan the Laddie 5, The Coming of the Goer, as if there were like multiple Logan the Laddie games, and it's like Final Fantasy, the Gaelic version, whatever. The second one was much better. I used headphones for live monitoring. Yeah! Now the audio is actually good.
Here we go. That's not going to do anything. Damn it, that was loud.
For this one, I actually had a cast and a crew. I had a lot of people working on camera, sound, and stuff like that, and I did also have a lot of people involved in the actual video.
Actual living flesh, companion. There we go. Right there. Trust me, he ain't worth.
There are also a lot of pop culture references to Xbox and Killing Floor and other. Facebook even shows up at one point.
Come on. I'm joining you. It's going to be a long night. What are you talking?
There was better lighting, and I think that was just a result of having a better lamp. So I had better lighting, and I actually added credits. I didn't have credits in the other one. Now, I got really lazy. I didn't have enough money, or you can't say that's lazy. I didn't have enough money to afford Adobe After Effects at the time, so I didn't have that. And I didn't really know how to make spell animations. I needed to animate, like the characters throwing spells at each other. I came back to the video like 2 years. How long was it? 2 years? About 2 years later. And I still had no spell animations. And I was like, I want to share this, but it's just kind of weird when they're just kind of throwing something. So I came up with this funny idea. I uploaded it to YouTube anyway. And on YouTube, you can do these things called annotations. You can put like an annotation or a note at some point in the video. So the second they start throwing like imaginary spells at each other, I put this little annotation that says, having a hard time seeing spells? Try boosting your graphics settings. And I was like, it's like actually like one of the funniest parts of the video now because it's so stupid. It's a YouTube video. And it's a YouTube annotation. So boosting your graphics settings on a YouTube video is not going to show you spell animations. It doesn't work that way, you know?
Hello.
Hi!
Hey. Logan hiding out.
And, I mean, nothing's perfect, so we still had some problems anyway. I used the camera mic again, so that didn't make things any better. If anything, it's kind of realistic using a camera mic, or it could be like a computer mic in the end, because they're just playing online. It's not like they're going to have condenser mics, when they're talking to each other, so whatever. I got bashed in the head at the end of the video. That was an accident. It was just the choreography was like, and I got bashed pretty hard in the ear, actually. And what was funny was, it was in the script that once I am supposed to fall on the ground, it's just he wasn't supposed to actually hit me, but he did by accident. And it's in the script that I had to lie down there for like 40 to 60 seconds or like a full minute. And everybody could hear the sound of me getting hit in the head. So they knew it was a hard hit and that it hurt. But it's in the script that I had to lay there motionless for a minute. And we had just done this huge take. We were losing light. We were losing daylight. We were not going to just stop. So everybody respected the script and just kind of waited for a minute, thinking, is he okay? Is he going to be fine? I was fine. I was just like, fist bumps afterwards. I need a drink. Everybody needs a drink, right? Getting back to actually having multiple Logans in the same shot, I hadn't done that yet. It was the summer of 2013, so in between my freshman and sophomore year in the university. So I had this crazy idea that I was going to shoot a music video all by myself in one night. I walked all the way to the church. It's about an eighth of a mile away from my house. And I carried over roughly 200 pounds of equipment. It was a lot. I carried a keyboard, a bass guitar, I carried stands, numerous cables, and a tripod, a camera, and a computer bag with the computer in it, and to stop halfway there to take a break, and then I carried on everything afterwards. And then I shot everything. Now the sun's coming up, cars are starting to show up more often. And I have no energy or no strength, and I can't move all this anymore. So I hid half of the stuff on the bandstand in a town park right there. I took half of the stuff home, came back. The sun is coming up even more and more, and I see all my stuff on the bandstand. It looks like a not buried body with all the stuff there. And I'm like, yay, it's still there. I took it, and I brought it back, and then I passed out. I did some editing, and then I passed out. It actually took me 2 days. I edited the rest of it the second day, got it done. It was my first music video, and more than that, it was also my first music video for a story album or concept album. It was called Where Dead Men Go, and it was about that weird feeling that you get when somebody passes away and you don't feel like it's too late to still talk to them. It's like not fully grasping what just happened. It's a weird feeling, and the whole album is very dark, and it's like, rioting against death. Like, it's absolutely against death and trying to, immortalize all of life. This was the first video that I was able to do with multiple Logans existing in the same shot. Back then I gonna still alive if I could travel back in time to reanimate the vibes. I used the same technique in photographs and applied them to video. And that's literally all I did. You can actually edit videos on Photoshop. It's crazy, I know, but you can do it. And it's awesome. So do it. It's really cool. Again, very unconventional, because why would you use Photoshop as a video editor? That sounds nuts. Well, I was just sticking with what I knew. So that's why I went with it. So I had each video stacked on each other as different layers. So all these videos on each other, they're different layers, and they all had wear masks. So I put wear masks on all of them. And what I did with that was I made sure each Logan had their own area. I knew that what I was doing wasn't too complicated, and I made sure that it wasn't too complicated so that, I wouldn't be able to handle this project that I wanted to do. Why do I feel like it's not too late? I made sure all the Logans were positioned in places that they were kind of out of the way of each other. And it was just kind of easy to make a wear mask for their areas. As long as they stayed in their areas and didn't go into each other's areas, the technique worked for the most part. I was able to simulate them walking from the left side of the screen and getting to their area eventually by intercutting stock footage of other shots that didn't have clones in them in between. So it's like they're coming in now, cut to something else, cut back, and they're sitting down now. You didn't get to see them walk through each other's territories on the screen or each other's image areas, but they're there. They got there, that's all that matters. This is absolutely nuts! It's pretty seamless. If you look really closely, however, it's not. So you can see fuzzy edges on some of the Logans. The playback in Photoshop for having multiple video layers like that is very difficult to handle for some computers, and it was difficult for my computer to handle. I would see one layer active, even though all the others were clearly visible. It could only handle showing one of them, and it would be all choppy. The frame rate would be all choppy. I look back at it and I think, you know what? cutting the stock footage to hide, the fact that I didn't want to actually take the time to rotoscope or animate the wear masks for when they go into each other's image areas like that was kind of lazy. But this is the first time that I was doing it, so I really didn't care too much about that. Some Logans actually did go under each other's background image areas, so escaping the mask, so to speak. And I was lazy to not fix it. The end result is they literally disappear into the other person's territory. I wasn't ready to animate the wear masks per frame. Because of that, I used a cheap effect. I had one guy just fade away as if he was like a ghost, and he just disappears. And I did that so that the guy in front of him could stand up and go over his image area, and I wouldn't have to work with overlap. He would just get up and leave because I got rid of that other guy's wear when I made him disappear and fade out. So there were cheap effects in that. That video did so well. It became my most popular video on YouTube. Hundreds of views. I wasn't very popular on YouTube. I thought, I'm going to make another music video, and I'm going to do it this summer again. I had a lot of credible momentum going on after the first one. The song was called You'll Escape. It was going to go on what was called the You'll Escape EP. It's the first music video with an actual cast and crew. Obviously, the first one I did it by myself. Muscle Man, MacGyver. I actually advertised and asked for community ideas, support, and donations for things like a green screen and other equipment that I didn't already have. I was going to offer rewards to people for helping out. I would do things like knit pillows for people, do these multiple self photos for people, make a fake article in the newspaper or a magazine and slap their face on the front of it, and just cool Photoshop doctoring, things like that. And it would have been cool. Write them a song. That was one of them too. I would have written them a song, and that would have been cool. Because what I did to show people all my ideas for this was I actually made a 16-page photo guide to how to shoot this music video that I had in mind. They had a story sequence and a band sequence. And I don't think anybody even read it. Even the people who eventually worked on the project, I don't even think they read it for the most part. Things like storyboarding and just how the general concept worked. Basically, it was about 3 Logans who were in the woods, and it's starting to get nighttime out, dark. So they had to go home and go through like a lot of obstacles in the woods just to get home. There were a lot of animations that were expected to be a part of this. I actually planned to animate over 4 minutes of backgrounds, hand-drawn, for over 4 minutes. That would take years to do on my own. And I'm in college. Like, hello. That would have been crazy. So, in a way, okay, I'll explain, what happened in a bit. So, I was going to edit the story sequence footage. I had another guy who was going to edit the band sequence footage, Kevin Daggett over at Fitchburg State. I was going to make it kind of time-lapsey, I remember that. I was going to take every third frame in Photoshop and just work with those. It was technically the first video where I tried having overlapping Logans in the same shot. Overlapping Logans. So that means that they are overlapping each other in their own image areas, but they're not necessarily touching. There were 3 of them. And I had about 3 frames of them all overlapping. It was test footage, and I still have it, actually. I was also expecting to have interacting Logans. I think there was going to be a human pyramid at some point, and I was all the people in the pyramid, and it's a video. So that and all the backgrounds that are going to be moving, hand-drawn for over 4 minutes, that was super ambitious for, after shooting a music video by myself in 2 days. That was just nuts. Then I had filmmaker's worst nightmare. The day before I was going to send all of my band sequence footage to Kevin for him to edit, I accidentally knocked my external hard drive over. It fell over. I picked it back up. It was just a simple drop. And it broke it. The needle inside got broken, or the laser inside got broken. And it came to the point where it's like, okay, I literally need to spend like $1,000 to get this fixed in a clean room when they extract the data manually off the discs. And even if they do that, I might have still lost a lot of stuff, if not everything. And so I pretty much lost the entire music video that we spent 2 months shooting over the summer. These things happen. You gotta back things up. And I didn't back things up. I didn't have another external drive. So now I have 2. It's better than, just having 1. And they're mobile drives. The one I had was a stationary. It was not meant to be moved around a lot. or tipped over. Act things up. You're going to lose it one day, especially if you don't come back to it after 2 years. And if you don't come back to it after 2 years, are you even going to do anything with it? Just throw it away. If you don't get back to it in 2 years, forget it. You'll escape. Unfortunately, escape from our grasps. Only test footage survived, so I still have that. There were other problems with it too, though. I noticed that I had too much of a dependency on community ideas that were not coming in. Because nobody was reading the 16-page, ginormous photo storyboard guide that I had for the music video. Nobody was taking the time to read it. Even if they did, were they really going to contribute to, like, a lot? And I guess they didn't. There was too much dependency on ideas that weren't original to myself, that weren't my ideas. And that can kill a project, because you're supposed to have a vision when you start out on something. And I had a framework for a vision, but I didn't have the content for it. So that was a big problem. And that put us back a lot, too. Another problem was, in the video, like in the story guide, whatever, I used a lot of incorrect terminology. And when I look those things up now, I'm like, that's not the word I meant to use. So I may have even confused certain people. I'm going to take another drink, because guess what? I'm thirsty tonight. I can taste the iced tea, slightly diluted in this. Plastic water. Plastic flavored water right there. Sophomore year in college. It's the season after the failure of the escape. Well, I didn't want to give up the technique just yet. So I tried it again. In a very weird video. It was called the Scumbag Tourneys. I lost the accent? Where'd it go? The story behind the Scumbag Tourneys is that it's 4 guys, and I play all of them. Their names were Gig, Loganzat, Two Swab, and the Bum. Two Swab was spelled with the number 2 and the $sign. Really cool. You are the suavest man in poverty. I really righteous, thanks. They all found each other in the weirdest ways, nicks of life. And they all figured, hey, we're all scumbags. Let's test our scumbagginess. So they went to this thing called the Scumbag Tourneys, which is an international competition, fictitious obviously, where people go in teams, or as solo, whatever, and they test their scumbagginess. The winning scumbag gets like a prize or something, or money, to clean themselves up with, I guess. What happened was they didn't win, but they became the crowd favorite. And they became so popular that they got their own reality TV show. And so the Scumbag Tourneys video that I made was a mockumentary following, their lives and how having a reality TV show has changed them, if it's changed them at all. They think they're scumbags. They're actually really nice people, so they're wannabes or posers. They are a band together. They're called the Ossipes. They live in Ossipee, New Hampshire. They actually make, like, garage love songs is what they make. That's how I describe it. Love songs in the garage. And if you listen to the music, it's corny, but it's not terrible. Like, it's actually music, which is something unexpected about it. So I like that. That's cool. So the Scumbag Tourneys was so much fun because I got to act as characters that I wouldn't normally be in real life. It was the first complex video of Logan's existing in the same shot together, and in some instances, some overlapping. This was also the first video, or first anything really, where I wrote character bios. I wrote large character bios because I really wanted to understand what these different characters were. There were actually a lot of clean masks throughout the video, and there were a lot of music videos in it too. Music videos, parodies, and a lot of talking heads. So there was a lot of everything in there. So when I tried the first music video, Where Dead Men Go, back in the summer, I had shied away from rotoscoping layer masks. I didn't do that this time though. I actually did change the layer masks for the Scumbag Tourney in some parts. It was still very minimal, but I did it. I had this dancing shot with this guy in the middle, and then he had a bunch of background dancers. You thought you might be a ghost. You thought you might be a ghost. As the background dancers come closer to the camera, the inner guys will go into the background image areas of the outer guys, which meant, hey, your overlapping image areas right there. You can actually kind of see it when I change the layer mask. I get rid of it and make a new one for the inner guys to go into the outer guys area. You can actually see it if you look closely enough, but if you're not looking for it, you really don't see it. I also managed to do this parody of Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody, the music video.
Is this the real life? Is this just fantasy? Caught in a landslide, no escape from reality.
I shot that in a very, very dark room. I shot each Logan in the middle because I thought I can actually move these guys later, I think, because they're in a dark room. It's black on black. You can't see certain things in the darkness like that. So I thought I might be able to hide the stitching technique in the darkness. So I shot all four of them. I shot them centered in the camera, and then afterwards I moved them digitally. I moved them up, left, right, and down. You can't tell. You can't see anything. There's nothing to see. The stitching technique was hidden in the darkness, and you can't see that. Why is that cool? Black on black gives you this crazy cool canvas where you can try overlapping and other cool layer masking tricks without having to worry about a messy background that doesn't cooperate, or an outside nature shot too. So in that respect, black on black is like a canvas. It's like a sandbox. So you can try certain kinds of layer masking, overlapping, interacting clones in pitch darkness. So you don't have to worry about the background, and all you get is just a bunch of clones trying to interact with each other in the darkness. This video had some problems too. I didn't have a whole lot of time to rehearse the characters, so a lot of it was improvised, especially the voices were improvised. I am friends with the ghost of Larry Norman. I shit you not. I'm friends with the ghost of Larry Norman. I shit you not. I'm friends. I know. I am friends with the ghost of Larry Norman. I shit you not. Damn it! Okay. The frame rate was weird, and we didn't bother fixing it for some reason. It was slow and fuzzy, and I'd never gotten that before, and I never ended up getting footage like that again, so whatever. Rotoscoping or animating the layer masks was kept to a minimum, due to time constraints. Because of that, some shots came out a little unrealistic. I tried 3 times to shoot a music video for them at one point. I was so involved in my university, and I was in 17 clubs at the time. I had 10 different positions, where I was total 18 clubs or 20 with 10 positions. So I had 17 clubs. My day was packed. The only time I could shoot was really at night. And unfortunately for me, the buildings closed at midnight, and because of that, I got kicked out twice in the athletic center trying to shoot this video. By the same janitor, too, so that felt really awkward. Third time, I shot it here, actually, in Walker Auditorium, and I got there in time. I had to actually get able to finally get it done. I'm like, yes! This is stupid, but we got it done. And fun fact, it's after midnight right now, and I got permission from public safety to shoot here, so. I also only finished editing half the video. This is what I'm talking about. If you don't come back to projects after a while and, continue them, you're going to lose the momentum for them. The Scumbag Tourneys is very story and character driven, and a lot of the talking heads, and a lot of the clone shots actually didn't make the final cut that I submitted to class because I didn't have enough time to fully put them in. Because of that, I wanted to try it again and focus more on the technique and not the story. So I did that junior year with a video called Verti Cutting Tools Incorporated. That video was bizarre. It was very bizarre in terms of its concept. Basically, there were like these magical stones, right? And they can be forged, and they cannot break. Like, nothing in the universe can break these stones, except for words. They're like magical. I wanted to put a different spin on it. I didn't want to make these like OP, overpowered stones, and then that's it. Like, okay, that's so original. But put a weird, like, humorous twist on it. They're unbreakable. And there was this hardware store that got wind of them, and they're like, hey, these would make some great drill bits or hammerheads, right? So that's what they did. They took all these stones and made them into, like, construction tools and gardening tools and stuff. These entrepreneurs, they send them out into the mountains, and they have this chair that teleports people to this hardware store where they try to sell them these tools that nobody can afford because they're magical stones. So it was a weird idea. There was mountain hiking. It was the first video that I had that had a budget. It was not much. It was about $40. I bought 2 hammers, some rope, a lantern. Not much. I bought a bacon chair. I call it a bacon chair because it looks like strips of bacon. It's just a fold-out lawn chair. It was also the first video I ever did where I booked spaces. So I booked the warehouse that's on this new campus, the facilities building. And we got to shoot in there, and it looks like a hardware store or a garage, and it's awesome. We also shot at Lake Massabesic, which wasn't too far away from campus. And it's a beautiful, beautiful place. This was the first video also where I implemented Foley sound. Foley sound is the act of adding sound after the fact to emphasize like hits or dropping objects or whatever. The audio was really messy in the end, so I did a lot of like background audio stuff, like dropping hammers and people going like, oh, ah! Putting those in there hid some of the pops that you hear in the bad audio. My teacher afterwards said that it was very interesting that the first 3 minutes and 8 seconds are without dialogue. They have no dialogue, and yet it's still interesting to look at because it was highly aesthetic. That video has the most amount of Logans or clones of an object that I was ever able to fit into a single shot of film, which is 15. Because there's a sequence at the beginning where there's supposed to be a bunch of Logans. They're dead. They're all over the place. And we shot this hill. And I was looking at the hill and I'm thinking, I could put a Logan there. I could just paint this hill with Logans. And they're all dead. And it would be so surreal and weird. But I could do that. And we did it. And it was so much fun. I had Robert Dixon on camera. And he's just sitting there. He's standing there watching me run around this hill, I fall, right? And I had a lot of fun. I actually fell and died. Wait there for 5 seconds, and then get up again, run to another place, and just fall, die, wait there 5 seconds, get up and do it again. And that made me so tired, but it was so much fun. There's 15 dead Logans on a hill, and it's like a song. It's like music to my ears. It was great. It was the most amount of time I ever spent dead, if you know what I mean. Cutting. There's a trick with the cutting. This video employed a lot of complex masking. I tried things that I did in the first music video where if they were going all the way across the screen, I had 2 of them. 2 Logans going across the screen. What I did was I cut them, so you see them on the left, and then before I had to rotoscope their wear masks, they come close to going into each other's image areas, but they don't actually go into each other's image areas. I cut to them now in the middle, and then at the end. This is like do. It just looks convincing. I also did this really cool thing with the chair. 2 Logans in the shot, and Robert Dixon's also in the shot. He's about to sit down on the chair that they're going to offer him. The guy behind him puts down the chair first. And that's the guy that we shot first. Because I was thinking, how are we going to shoot this? And I realized the chair has to be down for when Rob goes to sit in it. So we have to shoot that Logan first. We did. That Logan stepped aside. We waited for a bit. And then it was like, okay, now we're going to do the other Logan. So then I went out and I did the other Logan, and then Rob comes and sits down on the chair. It was a really interesting thing to take into consideration, and I was really happy with it. Unfortunately, there wasn't enough footage of that part, the first guy. So you can actually see in the bottom left corner, the rope disappear or the leaves like move around a little bit. I spent enough time on it, I could have fixed that by like reversing the track and moving it forward and keep doing that, reduplicating it so that it looked like, you know, it's just nature, what I'm doing, nature, whatever. In the facilities building, there was a shot where I had my legs, I was sitting in a chair, and I made sure not to move my feet at all. So they were still a stone, still with a rock.
One of your brothers?
Oh no, but he looks like one of them, right?
The other guy's rope underneath the chair. And I thought, alright, if I mask this leg, and it's not going to move anywhere, I can get this rope to go under his leg seamlessly, and it worked. We did the darkness illusion again, the advantage of darkness. So I had these guys go down a hill. I went down a hill 3 times, and I digitally moved the shots. You can't tell anything. It's just a nice blurry shot of 3 people coming to the camera. The hill was originally this big, and all 3 of them were like right there. on the screen in the middle. I was able to move them and make them bigger, make them smaller. Now the hill looks like it's this big. The optical illusion that you can do with the advantage of darkness. The lantern was the only source of light for that shot. It worked very well. And it got a little ambitious. I literally had 9 other episodes planned. 9 more for this idea. And they were going to go crazy. Like, there were, like, battles at some point. There were houses on fire. There were mountains collapsing. I was like, how the hell am I going to do this? Obviously, when I become, like, Peter Jackson or something, I'm not going to become Peter Jackson. Unless I become Peter Jackson, this film is not going to happen. So it's not going to happen. Again, we had some problems with this one. There wasn't a whole lot of time to rehearse the script. So a lot of people, it was challenging for them to get into character. Same with me. It was very challenging for me to get into character. And I actually don't even think I got into character well enough. There were many dialogue mistakes. Some of the lore, all this lore that I had made about the stones was really butchered in the warehouse scene. There were morning challenges. There were time constraints too. Because we were booking spaces, we didn't have access to that space forever. You know, and we had to eventually go to the lake too. This was our one and only chance. We got what we could and then we were done. And then when we got to the lake, I forgot something at the car and I had to run all the way back to get it. It was like a battery pack or something. And then I ran all the way back over there just for that. And then it started raining. It started drizzling a bit. And I'm like, well, all right, hide everything. Make sure nothing gets wet. Mother Nature cannot be capped. There's nothing you can do about that. And again, there were significant audio problems in the end. I had to do a lot of Foley work to fix those. It was something with the boom mic. The cable was hitting it. We should have focused more on that and fixed it. The camera actually moved in some shots where we had masking. And that was really tricky to have to deal with because this is a daytime shot. And in the daytime, you see everything moving. And it actually reveals the masking process. That's a challenge. We weren't sure if it was the wind, if something was nudging the camera just slightly. Maybe the camera was doing some auto stuff. But we saw that. That's something that I've always noted, and I'm always cautious about that. Make sure the camera is absolutely still, because otherwise we're going to have some really tricky post-editing work to do. I dinged up my hammers a little bit because we threw them around and bashed them on things.
Wait.
I gave them to my dad as a happy Father's Day present. Yay! That was cool. He liked them. Similarly to the Scumbag Tourneys, we only got half of the video done in terms of editing. So I still had the other half to go, and I keep telling myself I'm going to do it at some point.